Live. I'm your host, Chef AJ, and this is where I introduce you to amazing people just like you who are doing great things in the world that I think you should know about. So I'm really excited to talk to today's guest because if you watch the show regularly, you know we have a little matchmaking thing going on the side. Whenever we have a single guest, particularly one of the handsome plant-based doctors, everybody wants to know how old they are they single, are they looking? And many of you guys have sent me your photos and asked me to hook you up, and we've had some love connections. And I don't mind doing it, but I got a full-time job. So I'm bringing on an expert who this is what she does for a living. She is a legitimate vegan matchmaker. She's known as the Vegan Cupid, and she's going to tell you a little bit about her services, but she's also going to tell you how we can be dating now during these extraordinary times when we're not really going out and meeting people. Please welcome to the show, Karine Charbonneau, Vegan Cupid. Thanks so much for coming on. I'm really excited about today's topic.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
So, vegan matchmaking, how does one become a vegan matchmaker?
Yeah, so this all started back in 2011 when I was living in Berkeley, California. I was married at the time, and I had a couple of vegan girlfriends who told me they couldn't find any vegan men. I said, "What do you mean? We're in California. There's tons of vegans here. I'm going to find them for you." And so I came up with the idea of doing a speed dating event that was exclusively for vegetarians and vegans. Keep in mind, I had never gone to a speed dating event or attended a speed dating event in my life. But I did my research. My background is in event planning. So I pulled it together. The event was amazing. It was like really, really successful. And it was so much fun. And people asked me to do more. So I literally did it just on the side for the fun of it while I was planning these other big events, right? So I did like Berkeley Vegan Earth Day, Vegan Iron Chef, all kinds of huge events. And this was just for the fun of it. Fast forward to a few years later, I moved back to Canada, which is where I'm originally from. And I had to come up with my next big idea. So I thought, you know what? I love helping vegan singles because there's such a need for it. I'm going to start offering these speed dating events all over US and Canada. And so it was a huge undertaking, but I did it, and I did it for many years, and it was lots of fun. And first there is people who met, and a few years later they got married, and they weren't the only ones. I've heard of 3 other veg speed date weddings, as well as numerous long-term relationships, friendships, all kinds of amazing stuff. So it was really incredible to be part of that. And then about 2 years ago, I decided to start offering matchmaking services. So that's kind of where I'm at now.
Well, that sounds like fun. And we're actually going to give folks a discount if they want to use your services. But even if they don't, we're still going to give lots of value because you're going to talk about how we can date during a pandemic. And even if they want to be in, you have a name for it. It used to be called your database, but people can get into your pool for free. And if you have a client, you might draw from that pool.
Yeah, exactly. So, we can talk about, how to date during COVID right now. So that's kind of like, I've heard all kinds of things, right? So every single day I talk to at least one vegan single, okay? On most days, even one, even more. And the common thing is people are saying, like, I can't go out and meet people. Like, what can I do? Well, back in April, when this whole
Uh-oh. She's frozen. Guys, she's in Canada and she doesn't have the best internet. So I'm hoping she'll come back because I really want to hear about this topic. Because it's not my area of expertise. Oh boy. Even wore a special shirt today because she said pink was her favorite color. Hello. I don't know if she knows that she's frozen. Mm-hmm. So what are we going to talk about? She said that she'd come back on. So when this happens, I thank you for your patience. If you're watching in the replay, it probably is annoying. It's probably annoying if you're watching live. So while we're waiting for the guests to connect, if you have any questions about anything, I'm going to stay on and hope she comes back because this is a wonderful topic and I have lots of questions on it. As you know, I do a little matchmaking on the side. I introduced Dr. Greger to the love of his life, Dr. Jen Hawk. That was very private for a long time. So I'm very glad when I was interviewing her and he came and gave her a big smooch, which you can find on my YouTube page. And A lot of people were interested in Dr. Nick Delgado when he was on. Is my arm okay? I have what's it called? Rotator cuff impingement syndrome, and it hurts a lot, but I'm doing pretty good. I'm going for the treatment that Dr. Goldhammer recommended, which is called active release, which we had a guest on named Dr. Stephanie Peacock. And back to the guest. Are you back? Oh, okay. I'm glad. Oh, let's pray to the technology gods, everyone, because I know that you're in a remote area of Canada. So let's you were going to talk about how we can date during a pandemic.
Yes, I apologize about that. So basically, that's a question on everyone's mind, is how can you continue dating during a pandemic? So back in April, I created these Zoom Hangouts, right? And these Zoom Hangouts are a way to connect with other vegan singles from all over US and Canada from the comfort of your living room. You don't have to wear a mask. You don't have to clean your house. You just have to show up and have a good time. So I created these events, and they're just so much fun. And there have been lots of success stories from these events.
That's great. I didn't realize you did vegan Iron Chefs. So when were you doing those, and where were you doing those, and who were the chefs? Because I love Iron Chef competitions.
Yeah, I did that back in San Francisco a long time ago. And Lisa Brooks Williams she won one time. I can't remember who else won, but I did it 3 years in a row. It was tons of fun.
That sounds amazing. So is it that hard for people to find love in general, or is it just if they're vegan and vegetarian because there are less people from whom to choose?
Well, yeah, I mean, the pool of vegan singles is that much smaller, right? But the reality is that I have been helping vegan singles for the last 9 years to connect and find each other. So they are there. You just have to find them. You just have to know where to look. And that's a challenge. So that's why I really make it my mission to create all these different opportunities for vegan singles to connect. So I have a very active Facebook group called FindVegLove. It's not huge. I have like 2,700 members, but people are very engaged. I post a lot of content. I give a lot of dating tips, dating advice. I answer questions. I go live in my group every Thursday. So I really nurture that group because, again, I'm just so passionate about helping vegan singles. I love love. I love animals, and I love people. And so I really try to do whatever I can to help. And then we were talking about also the Veg Love Vault, which used to be called my database. And it's essentially what it is you fill out a form. You know, the more information you provide, the better. And you get into my database. So when I have a matchmaking client that I am recruiting for, the first place I go to see if I have any potential matches is in this database. So, you know, I only work with a handful of matchmaking clients at a time. So what I FindVegLove is not a dating website, and it's not a dating app. Okay. So it's very, very important to recognize that, because a lot of people sign up and they expect to get a number of different matches right away. Well, it doesn't work like that. I'm a matchmaker and a dating coach. And again, I work with a handful of people at a time. So you fill out your profile. It's totally free to be in the database. You hang tight, and, you know, one day I may reach out to you and tell you about an amazing client. So you really have nothing to lose and everything to gain. And I have successfully matched, you know, my clients with some people from the database. So it does work. And being in my VegLove Vault also gets you onto my email list, which of course you can unsubscribe to at any time, but you'll want to be on my email list so that you can find out about like the Zoom Hangouts I do, the live videos I do, and what I have going on. And again, I try to be a resource for vegan singles for, you know, all things related to love, dating, and relationships.
That's great. Sue wants to know if the Facebook group is free, and if so, I will just link to it so people can join it.
Yeah. The Facebook group is totally free. It's FindVegLove. You just have to answer a couple of questions, and then I approve your request.
Great. And Gina wants to know, are there many other older singles working with you, like 60-ish, or is this more for the young vegans?
No, and that's a great question. Thank you. That's a question that I get asked a lot. I work with anybody who is vegan or vegetarian or plant-based, whatever you call yourself. Anyone who is really committed to finding love. Those are the people that I work with. And I work with all ages. My youngest client is 29. My oldest was 64. And so I'm all about helping people. And, you know, the the type of people that I tend to work with, you know, really vary. I work with a lot of software engineers, software developers, teachers, coaches, plant-based doctors, you name it. So,
You know, I listened to an interview you did, and you said to find the love of your life, you need to be the love of your life. Explain that.
yeah, thank you. You know, after being in this space for so long, going through my own journeys of, you know, being in a 15-year relationship, going through a divorce, getting back into the dating scene again and finding love again. You know, I've kind of been through it a lot. I've talked to a lot of people, and unfortunately, a lot of people, you know, they say they want love, but they're not quite ready to be in a relationship. And relationships are complicated. They take lots of time and effort and commitment. And so, you know, unfortunately, there's people that, you know, because of past, you know, if you've had a bad breakup, or you you have feelings of resentment or of hurt, you're vulnerable, or whatever it is, a lot of us end up like putting up walls, right? Because we want to protect our heart. Getting your heart broken sucks. And so the number one thing before you get in a relationship is truly you have to love yourself. You have to be happy with yourself and fully recognize that you can, you know, you can live. You don't need a partner. It's about wanting to share life. It's about wanting to have that companionship. And so if you don't love yourself, you end up attracting the wrong kind of love. So if you're feeling confident and empowered and energized, that's the kind of love that you're going to attract. Right. So it's important to do the deep inner work to get to the place where you're in the right headspace so that you can find the right partner. And that's hard to do alone. Right. And that's why so many clients come to me, because they want help to overcome those challenges and break down the walls and stop repeating the patterns.
Yeah, I love, there's a book called You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay that I've always loved and recommend to people, because I do think, you know, you got to fall in love with yourself first, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jean says, I went on a date once with a guy from a vegetarian dating site. He ended up being at least 10 years older and 30 pounds heavier than his photo. Do you find that people often misrepresent themselves in online dating and perhaps even in your vault?
Unfortunately, I am not a fan of online dating for many, many reasons. It's actually, when I do my one-on-one matchmaking, I don't even show pictures, because I find that people are so quick to judge a book by its cover. And really, in order for a relationship to work, yes, there has to be attraction, but there has to be so much more than that. And so, yes, unfortunately, people misrepresent themselves with online dating. Thankfully for me, for the BESTSELLING Vault, and you know, whenever I'm introducing a potential match to a client, I vet them. So I do video chats, video interviews where I get to know them. I ask all the right questions. I want to make sure if you are truly ready and committed for a relationship, and I ask a lot of questions to assess that. And so my goal is to see, you know, if the person would actually make a great match. So yes, so I do the video interviews, get to know them. And then at that point, if at the end of the conversation, I think it's a great fit, then I introduce them to my clients.
Nice. You know, I was just thinking that so many vegans are very healthy and they live so much longer that at some point there might not even be a pool for me, you know, when we're 90s. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've talked to so many different vegan singles of all ages, and so they really vary. It is a perception, and a lot of women think there are no vegan men out there, right? When I was doing the speed dating events, people were always shocked that I was able to get equal numbers of men and women, or pretty darn close to it. So they are out there. Yes, they are hard to find, but it is not impossible. And my clients, you know, half of them are men, so they are out there, and they're amazing. Very successful, educated, you know, compassionate, amazing people.
Obviously, you're not doing the speed dating right now, but that sounds like a fun thing. Not, I mean, I was thinking just as a vegan, that would be a fun thing just to meet people, not to meet, you know, a love connection. How did those work, and where did you do them? And do you ever anticipate doing them again in the future?
Yeah, so the the events, they took place in restaurants and bars and cafes, all different kinds of places all over US and Canada. And you basically sat down, had 5 minutes to talk to them. And yeah, it was, it worked for some people. There was marriages that turned, that became from this, lots of friendships, business connections. So it was fantastic. But now in this day and age with COVID, my business would have, gone bankrupt basically, because I wouldn't have been able to continue doing the in-person events. But that's why now I've turned to doing the Zoom hangouts, the Zoom parties, the online parties for vegan singles as a way to give people the opportunity to connect with each other, right? Because that's what we all need more of right now. And I've had a lot of people say, oh, well, like, I don't want to be the only 50-year-old, or I don't want to be the only blah, blah, blah. You never know who you're going to meet on one of these Zoom hangouts. And you never know when, how, or where you're going to meet that special person. But if you're just sitting at home and you're just making excuses and telling yourself it's not going to work, then it's not going to work. So again, 100% mindset. I encourage everyone to be brave, try something new, put yourself out there, and you never know what's going to happen. No one knows. So if you are truly, committed to finding a vegan partner, you got to try something new.
Yeah. Is it possible for vegans and non-vegans to successfully date?
So that's a very good question that I get asked a lot as well. And it really depends on the person. I know people who are in happy relationships where one person's vegan and the other one isn't. It can work, right? And I'm not here to judge anyone, whatever path they are on. I'm there to support everyone in their decision. But the reality is that, yes, it is difficult if you are vegan and you're dating someone who's not vegan, because you don't share those morals, those beliefs, those ethics. And it can cause a lot of friction in a relationship, right? And relationships are complicated. So you add in the vegan thing and it makes it that much harder. So a lot of people have tried dating non-vegans and it hasn't worked for them. So again, everyone's on their own path. What I say is that if you're vegan and you date someone who's vegan, you're going to start off on the same level playing field. You're going to have a really deep connection with that person because you share that. And, veganism to a lot of people is something that's like a big part of our lives, right? And it's not just about the food that you eat, it's a total lifestyle. So the more that you share that in common with someone, the deeper connection that you have, right?
Yeah, it's interesting because I work with people mainly in weight loss and things like that. And I find that a lot of them weren't vegan when they got married, and then they changed their diet and their spouse isn't vegan. And later on, it seems to cause sometimes problems. But they didn't know, that 10, 20, 30 years later, they become vegan. So I would think if you're just starting out, if it's very important to you, especially if it's an ethical thing, that it might be helpful to date somebody that is also vegan.
100%. And I truly believe that if you compromise on your morals and your values, you will never be happy. You should never feel like you're compromising. So some people are okay with their partners, having meat in the fridge. Some people are totally not into that. So know who you are and, be honest with yourself and really, decide, am I compromising? And if you're compromising, then it's just going to make it that much harder. So focus your attention on finding someone who is more aligned with your values and know that it is possible. So a lot of people tell me, I'd rather be single because I can't find anyone who's vegan. So I'd rather be single, but they don't want to be single. But that's where I come in. I can help, I help my clients be able to meet all these amazing vegan singles that I've come across, right? I now have like a network of 20,000 vegan singles all over US and Canada, maybe more at this point. It's hard to really quantify. But wow. Because I'm the only one doing this, people come to me, right? And I'm continually putting myself out there. I mean, I'm not a magician, right? But I'm really great at connecting and networking and bringing people together. And that's, I want my clients to take advantage of this amazing network that I've been building over the years. So that's kind of how, I recently launched a few months ago this new program. It's a 10-week program that teaches you how to be your own matchmaker. And so it's a super comprehensive package program, and it includes different modules, and it also includes group coaching calls every week on Zoom. But it also includes matchmaking elements. So it's like a super fun program for people who, need that little boost. They need the support. They need the guidance. They need help overcoming, certain things that are keeping them stuck. And then we have so much fun together. I have a blast working with my clients, and, a lot of my clients are able to find love, like even before the program ends. It's amazing what happens when you change your mindset. And it's just like weight loss. It's 100% mindset, right? And it's like once that light bulb goes off and you make the conscious decision to do something and you stick to it and you put in the time and the effort, you will be successful.
That's great. So they can find information at your website, FindVegLove.com, on the 10-week class?
Yeah. So it's a 10-week program. And this is a program that everyone has to go through first before I do the one-on-one matchmaking. And the reason why is because I know that if you put in the time and the work and the effort, you show up for the calls, you do the exercises, you will be successful. So I really want to give people the power to show them that they can do this. You can find love. It is absolutely possible once you put your mind to it.
Well, if you've got 20,000 people, that's a lot. I didn't even know there were that many vegans, because it seems like, I don't know what the statistics are, how many men versus women, but it seems like there's more women, at least when I go to events. And I'm not talking about dating events, but even just conferences. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing, but they are out there, right? They are absolutely out there. And I have been able to find them. And even with my Zoom hangouts, it's half men, half women. And I don't even keep track of how many. I don't set different, number of tickets aside for men or women. It just always ends up working out. So
that's great. Jennifer says, this is a cool concept. What is the price for your services? But what is also the length of the period of time?
Yeah. So like I said, I offer a 10-week program. Everyone has to go through that program first. And if anybody is interested in learning more and seeing if it's a good fit, you can book a Cupid call with me. It's totally free. We talk for an hour. And I basically ask a lot of questions to assess, where you're at, where you want to be, and if I can help you, because my program is not for everyone, right? So I assess, again, if you're a good fit. And then if we both decide that, yes, this is a good fit and you want to move forward, then I make you an offer and then we talk about numbers. But it's really not, a cookie cutter approach. And so that's why it's not, it's very individualized. So we need to talk on the phone and chat more about that. But, I would love to. I do a lot of these calls. And again, that's how I connect with the vegan singles and really figure out like what's holding them back. Why are they single? What's keeping them stuck? And how I can best help them. And, I'm telling you, it's the same themes, like the same common themes I see over and over and over again. And, it's as soon as you give yourself permission to, be loved and fall in love, that's when the magic happens. And that's what I help my clients do.
Yeah. So, there's a saying, physician, heal thyself. What about matchmaker? Were you able to find love yourself using your own services?
Well, no, I don't mix business and pleasure. So I didn't go to any of my own speed dating events. I was married for 15 years and I went on the dating scene, and, of course I did the online dating thing because like, how else was I going to meet people? Right. That was like the easy thing to do. I was, I worked really hard. I don't go to bars. I'm like, where am I going to meet people? And so I did the online dating thing. And at first it was fun because when you do something for the first time, it's fun and exciting and, but then it quickly got old and I went through bad experiences. I got ghosted. I was like wasting way too much time swiping. I was like way too, became way too attached to that. I took a break And then I took a break for a couple of months, and then I went back on, and a couple of days later, I ended up connecting with someone. So I did meet, my current partner of 2 years on a dating app. So it can work, but the process was not fun. Let me tell you, and a lot of people struggle with online dating, but a lot of people do it because it's the easy thing to do. But the reality is, just like weight loss, if you keep repeating the same patterns over and over again, you will not get different results. So you have to try a different approach, but you have to be willing to try a different approach and be open to it.
Yeah, that's amazing. So what is this blind love experiment that you did?
Yeah, so remember how, I just said that I'm not really into online dating, and how I do my one-on-one matchmaking is I don't show pictures, right? And so I wanted to kind of, show my style of matchmaking. And so I had a client of mine, his name's Joe. He's an actual client. And I found 3 amazing potential matches for him. These were all women that I found in my FindVegLove vault. I interviewed them. I went through the whole process to assess, again, to make sure that I thought that they were really, truly a great fit. So, this was supposed to be a live show. This was supposed to be done in person. I was actually in LA in March, scoping out studios. And this is a show. This was a show for the Plant-Based Network. So obviously COVID happened, but the network still wanted me to do the show from home. So I came up with this idea of how to do it. Obviously, it didn't work the same as doing it in person, but so basically how it happened is it was me on camera, the 3 women and Joe. But Joe and the 3 women's cameras were blocked off by a Post-it note, so we couldn't see their faces. So we were all talking, all asking, I was asking the women questions, Joe was asking the women questions. They were talking back and forth. And then the premise behind it was that you can absolutely develop a connection with someone without ever seeing their face. So at the end, he had to pick the woman that he felt the most connected to. And then so he picked the woman, and then one by one, the women revealed themselves. They took off the Post-it notes, and it was so much fun. But unfortunately, there were technical difficulties, so it was not aired on the Plant-Based Network because the difficulties. So I am in the process of finding another bachelor or bachelorette for the show, and we will try again. And then it will hopefully, if all goes well, air on the Plant-Based Network.
That sounds like a great fun show to watch. So that's really interesting when people don't have the visual, cues right away.
Yeah. And again, like my clients, this is how I do my matchmaking, and it works. You have to put your trust in who you work with to be able to do this. But it's the traditional way that people are dating now, like the online dating, it's not working, right? People are just, it's like you're shopping for an Amazon item, right? Just swiping and judging a book by its cover, which I feel is not authentic. People don't even look like they like themselves in the pictures, like good or bad. Right?
Yeah, I think it's, I don't want to judge it because I've never done it. Thankfully, I've been happily married over 25 years. I can't, especially with as busy as I am right now, I can't imagine having that in the mix to have to date and especially during a pandemic where you can't go anywhere. But I agree that you can, because there's this horrible channel, I don't even want to say their name, that they take pictures of vegans that are on YouTube, at the worst moment, and say, look, vegan diet's terrible. Look how bad they look. Photos can be altered to look amazing and airbrushed or not. And that's the thing, is one photo doesn't define who a person is. A video chat I could understand, but just I don't understand this whole, I don't know. It's just weird to me,
Yeah. And I actually did a video dating 101 workshop back in May, because I knew that people would be doing a lot of video dates, and I want to give people the tools and the confidence to be able to have video dates, right? Because video dating is where it's at now. And so the workshop was lots of fun. Video dating is actually an entire module in my 10-week program where I help people get more confident, because it's actually a great tool. Like, if you are going to be doing the online dating thing, that's fine. Like if it's working for you and you like it, that's great. You know, you do what works for you. But I always encourage people, whether you're online dating and meeting someone, you know, on Facebook, whatever it is, try to get them on the phone first, because talking on the phone is less pressure, right? So you talk to them on the phone the first time. That's what I do with my clients. They talk on the phone. And then when you feel more comfortable, move on to video date. And if someone says they don't want to do a video date, that's a red flag. Okay. So really pay attention to that, because it means that they're hiding something, right? Yeah. So again, that's what I teach my clients is I help them navigate the dating scene, right? So I tell you, like, I help you recognize the red and the green flags. I help you assess, you know, who makes a better match for you based on like your love language, your attachment style, your personality. So all those things.
I, again, never done online dating, so I'm not bashing it, but I know what kind of person I am. I'm just a cautious and suspicious person. I just, how do you know, even if you're meeting these people, that they're not like a serial killer?
You don't know, right? But this is where, you know, it's so important to rely on your intuition. Okay. I have very good intuition, and that's a big reason why, you know, I'm so successful at matching people together, because I really rely on it. But it's taken time to develop that, right? And so it's really knowing yourself and listening and really reflecting. Okay, like what am I feeling? But it goes deeper than that, right? Because if you're imagining red flags that aren't there, if you're making conclusions about someone too quickly, then that can hurt you, right? So again, it's about doing the deep inner work and being able to feel more confident about your decisions and your feelings when you're dating.
So a lot of people say they don't want to be single, but they are. What do you think the most common reason that they are when they say they don't want to be?
Yeah, again, that's because I've been able to talk to so many different people. I really see through like what's really going on deep down inside. So again, you know, the number one thing, a reason of why people are single when they don't want to be, is that they are blocking their own love life. And what I mean by that is it can be whether, you know, you're not as open-minded as you think you are. For example, if you say that you are only interested in meeting someone who lives, you know, half an hour from your house, or you're only interested in meeting someone who is 6'2", you know, has a certain, you know, look or race or religion or whatever. Okay. So be as open-minded as you can. The pool of vegan singles is small. You don't want to close any doors. You want to open doors. Okay. So yeah. So it's, you know, blocking your own love life by, again, not being as open-minded. Maybe a lot of people have their guard up. They had a bad relationship, a bad breakup, a bad marriage. They've been hurt, and they're scared of getting their heart broken again. But love is all about taking risks, and there is no love without risks. So yes, getting your heart broken sucks. It really, really sucks. I've been there. I get it. But if you're not able to let go of that resentment, the hurt, you won't be able to get past it, and you won't be able to find love, right? I mean, it's there. Unfortunately, there's so many people that are really jaded, and they can't get over that, and they want to find love, but they never will until they're able to let go of that, right? So that's what I help my clients do, is let go, unblock their love lives, so that they can truly get what it is that they want.
Sounds great. Pat says, from Karen's viewpoint, where does there seem to be the most older single vegans in the world? So have you ever done a geography study as where all the vegans are?
I have not, but I can tell you that in my FindVegLove group, every Friday, people post a selfie, they post a little description, and I see older people on there and younger people. They are out there, right? I know that there's Facebook groups that are dedicated to like, singles that are 40 plus. I've seen meetup groups also that cater to older people. But again, I would encourage you to not be so focused on the age. Age is just a number, and vegans never look their age anyways, right? And so you never know. You never know.
This might be an odd question, but when I think about it, I have had friends that went on a website called JDate for Jewish dating. And they said that so many of the men looking for Jewish women weren't even Jewish, but they were looking for Jewish women. And for whatever reason, are people ever come to you that aren't vegan, but they're looking to date vegans for some reason?
No, that hasn't happened with my matchmaking, but it did happen a couple of times at speed dating events where people would go and they weren't vegetarian, but they were curious, right? They were veg curious. But yeah.
That's interesting. Can you share one of your success love stories with us? Obviously not the people's names unless you have permission.
Yeah, I never share names because I respect my clients' privacy. There's a lot of love stories, but the one that stands out the most is one of the most recent ones. It happened on a Zoom hangout, believe it or not. I have a client who came on the hangout, and she had originally told me that she was only interested in meeting someone in the West Coast. So I said, okay, there's plenty of vegans in the West Coast, that's not unreasonable, but keep an open mind because you never know when and where or how you're going to find that person. So she came on the hangout. She saw someone that she liked. She emailed me the next day to tell me that she was very interested in him. And he actually also sent me an email to tell me he was interested in her. I was jumping up and down. I was so excited. And, they ended up talking, having video dates like almost every week for like 2 months. He flew out to go see her. He lives on the East Coast. Okay. Remember, she originally said she only wanted to meet someone in the West Coast. She knew he lived in the East Coast, but she didn't care because she saw how amazing he was. And so he flew out to go see her. They had an amazing weekend. And now she's flying to go see him Labor Day weekend. So I could not be happier. And so again, that's what happens when you are open-minded, when you keep all options open, magical things can happen. So that's just one of many stories. There's another client that I worked with, and on his very first match, he ended up in a relationship with a woman. And again, it was long distance. And so you never know where it's going to happen, but you need to put yourself out there. You need to be proactive. And some people say like they just want to sit around and wait for the person to show up. They want it to happen organically. And that's okay if that's what you want. But if you really, really, realize that life is short, and a lot of us have realized that during COVID, life is short. You never know what's going to happen. So if you really want to share life with someone, if you want to find that amazing vegan partner, you got to be proactive about it. And yes, it is kind of like looking for a job. You have to put in the time and the effort and do your research and put yourself out there.
I agree with you on so many levels, because it's not like it was a Little House in the Prairie where we all went to the same school and we all went to the same church. It's a totally different world now. Even before COVID, so many people do work online and they don't work in offices. And I want to tell you a little story because it mirrors what you're saying about being proactive and taking a part in this, because not just sitting home passively waiting for the phone to ring. So it was 1992, and I was in college, and I was studying to be an advertising copywriter. And I had taken this seminar with the executive director of BBDO, this very large advertising organization in Los Angeles. And he was talking about how to get a job as a copywriter. Now, back then, we still had we still have the LA Times, but we had this thing called a Want Ads on the Sunday where they would list jobs. And maybe that still exists. I haven't looked at a paper for years. But he was explaining that advertising copywriter is sort of like being an actor in a way. It's a very kind of niche job, and you're not going to find an ad for being a copywriter in the LA Times. He said, if you're a copywriter, you have to create the kind of opportunities to find this kind of job. And then he said something that changed my life forever. And he said, and this was 1992, he said, similarly, if you're a woman in the 90s, you can't just expect a guy to show up and go out with you. He goes, you have to create opportunities to find the kind of person that you want to meet. Now, I was 32 at the time. This was 2 years after the LA Times had, not the LA Times, the Time magazine had on their cover that if you were a woman in your 30s, you'd have more chance of being kidnapped by a terrorist than ever getting married. And I had pretty much given up. But what that man said to me stuck forever. And I was the one that actually ended up asking my husband out. So I think you're right. You have to take some responsibility in this whole dating thing. Even if they're working with you, they can't just say, here's my picture, find me a guy. You've got to be willing to do some of the things, like you said, with weight loss. There's steps, there's actionable steps, there's practicing the fundamentals. And again, like, I think attitudes are really important too.
100%. And that's why, I'm not your typical matchmaker, not just because I'm vegan and I only work with vegetarians and vegans, but it's because I don't just hand matches to people. It's, I can do that with my eyes closed. I truly care about my clients finding deep, lasting love. And that involves doing the deep inner work first, getting to the place where you want to be the partner that you want to find. Right. So again, that's so important. And yeah, you have to put yourself out there. You have to try something new, even though it's scary, because I know it's scary, but I've been there. I totally get it. But, to me, all the work, and the chance of getting heartbroken is so worth it. I mean, I'm so fortunate that I was able to find the second love in my life. And, that wasn't by chance. Like, some people never, haven't even experienced that. And to me, that's like, it's not that there's something wrong with you. It just hasn't been your time or place. Like, I truly believe that there is someone out there for everyone. And sometimes it takes longer to find them. Right. But love is totally accessible to everyone, and everyone is deserving of it. Right. So you just need to give yourself permission to go through the journey, to risk getting your heart broken, put your heart on the line, and see what happens.
Well, I'm 60, and so a lot of my girlfriends are within a few years either way of my age, and they've never been married, and they are vegan, and they just want to meet someone, but they seem to feel that people, well, not people, men specifically, men don't want someone the same age. They always want somebody significantly younger. Do you find that to be true?
That is true when we're talking about non-vegans, but the reality is that, again, like I said before, as vegans, we look much younger than we actually are. And so it's never too for love. I actually did a video interview with Ellen, which I'm sure Ellen Jones, and she's also in her 60s, and she found love again. She was married in the past, but now she is, and she was never. This is a really interesting story, actually. So you should go to my YouTube channel and check out the video, because it's very, very inspiring. So she's in her 60s and she's dating a man who is in his 50s. He has never dated a vegan woman before her. And it was only the second vegan that Ellen was with. And they both share that super deep connection because they're both vegan and they hadn't really experienced that before. So it's an amazing story. And again, I interviewed because I know there's a lot of women in their 50s and 60s that have given up hope, but it's never too late. It truly isn't. So you just have to put yourself out there and try and not give up. If you really want it, if you're really serious, put in the work, reach out to me and I can help you.
Yeah. So you really believe there's a lock for every key, or a key for every lock?
100%.
That's great. Do you find that men or women, which one are pickier, or does that just depend on the individual?
Women.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I would definitely say, and that's actually another reason why people think they're single, because they say that they're too picky. They don't want to settle. And I have never told anyone that, and I would never say that you should settle for anything less. But there's a difference between being too picky and being unreasonable. right? And so if you have a specific type in mind and you are totally overlooking anyone who doesn't fit that type, like you're missing out, and you will probably continue being single, right? But again, it's about being open-minded and as much as possible to be able to find love. So, you know, you just have to think, is being too picky serving you? And again, it's not about compromising. It's not about settling. It's just about being realistic and realizing that, you know, relationships are not fairy tales. So
Pat wants to know, do you use any kind of a questionnaire?
yes, yeah, 100%. If you go to my website and you click on the FindVegLove Vault, there's quite a few questions that you have to answer on there. So that's the preliminary thing that I use, right? So when I'm looking for a match for a client, I go on there, I read through your entire profile. If it stands out to me and I think that you would be a good match, then I reach out to you, right? So again, the more information you fill out on there, the better. And again, I just want to remind everyone, by filling out a profile in my database, it doesn't make you a client, and it doesn't mean that you'll ever hear from me. It's a chance that you might hear from me. But why not take that chance? It doesn't cost you anything other than a bit of your time. And, you know, you have nothing to lose and everything to gain. Okay. So yes, questionnaires. And I do, you know, in part of my program, we talk about love languages, attachment styles. So I do kind of touch upon that as well, once I'm actually talking to a potential match over video. And for those of you who are interested in astrology, I'm really into astrology, and I work closely with an astrologist. And so all my clients get access to a session with my astrologist. And for my matchmaking clients, when I have someone in mind for a client, you know, again, I read my intuition, and I give my astrologist the birthdays of the two people, and then she confirms whether or not my intuition is right. And, you know, she tells me what the cards say, and I've been pretty bang on, which is awesome. And of course, I don't, you know, obsess over it or rely on it 100%, but it's a nice like confirmation of what, you know, what I believe. And so for those, some of my clients are into it, some are not into it at all. That's totally fine. I work with a lot of engineer and software developers that are very skeptical people, and that's okay, right? It's a fun tool to use to kind of understand yourself better and understand like who you are better matched with.
So that's interesting that you said women are pickier. I didn't know that, because I always think of men that at least they seem very picky, at least in terms of looks, at least the ones that are asking for my help. But Gina says that Dr. Hawk said that 64% of men swipe yes and only 4% of women swipe yes. So it sounds like you're correct.
Yeah, I've talked to a lot of men who've done the online dating and have struggled and have never even got any matches. And because of that, they think that there's something wrong with them, and they start having like really feelings of, you know, of doubt. And that's so sad to me, because that's not the reality. I mean, the dating apps are just one small thing. So again, I encourage my clients, and I show them that it is absolutely possible to find love and vegan love without dating apps.
That's great. Do you think people are looking to get married these days? Because you know, most women, at least the women I know, work. We don't need necessarily men anymore for our financial, you know, independence. So are they just looking to hook up with like-minded people?
Yeah, I mean, the people that I work with, they are people that are super serious and committed to finding love. Right. This is not a place for people who want to hook up, have something casual, or just be friends. It's people who are truly committed. And some are looking to get married, but the reality is that a lot of people who are 30 and up have already been married once. And for them, it's not as important to get married again, but they still want to share life with someone. Right. So for me, I've already been married once. I don't really care. Like, I don't really, getting married again is not, you know, at the top of my priority. To me, it's just a piece of paper now. But I did tell my boyfriend that I want a ring, but just for show.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Well, here's a very sensitive question. I'm sure you'll handle it kindly, but I do hear about this. And Kathleen says, are any relationships matched if you need to lose weight?
Sorry, what was the question?
Are you able to match relationships if somebody needs to lose weight?
Yeah, Yeah, definitely. I mean, I actually have a client who, this is his last week in the 10-week program. And he actually just went plant-based whole foods, about 4 months ago. And he's a bit on the heavier side. And he was actually asking me, he's like, do you think I should wait to try to find someone until I get to my goal? And I said, absolutely not. You will find someone who will respect and love and appreciate you for who you are now, not who you're going to be down the road, right? And if someone can't, if that doesn't resonate with someone, like, that's not the person for you, right? It's again, it's all about loving yourself, accepting yourself, and being okay with it. So it doesn't matter where you're at, like, love yourself first. That's the number one thing. And when you truly love yourself and feel confident, you will attract the right kind of love.
Nice. So do you ever have subsets within the vegan dating pool? Because, for example, I'm looking for this. Someone is saying that they're vegan, but they only want to date Christian people. So, or Christian men. So like, are there little subsets for people that want vegan plus another niche?
For sure. I mean, just because someone is vegan or vegetarian, I always say vegan, but that includes everyone. Okay. Just easier to say vegan. But just because someone is vegan, it doesn't mean that they're going to be perfect for you, right? They have to be vegan. They have to match with you on a number of different things, right? The important things like religion, because that's really important to some people. So 100%. I work with very spiritual vegans, and I work with atheists. So I work with anybody. And actually, for my Zoom hangouts, thanks for bringing that up, on my Zoom hangouts, again, because it's not just vegan, I'm trying to really unite people together that are vegan, single, and have another common theme. So for this weekend, I'm doing wine lovers, and then I'm doing fitness lovers, and then I'm doing spiritual vegans, and then I'm doing LGBTQ, and then I'm doing atheists. So I'm like trying to unite people together with the same common theme.
How about dog lovers? Then, well,
Yes.
I'm married, but that's the one I would join. Yeah.
It's funny because I'm a huge dog lover as well, and I totally thought about doing that one. I've thought about doing a one for single parents. I have lots of ideas, but I have to see how these go, because I really need to focus my time and energy on my clients and finding them matches. But I actually really like the Zoom hangouts because, hey, like, I'm not going out all the time and meeting a bunch of new people, right? So it's really fun to be able to connect and meet new people from the comfort of my living room, and be in a room full virtually of amazing people, right? So I really like these. And my clients come to these Zoom hangouts, right? And so if they like someone, they tell me, right? It's like that story I shared with you earlier. And it's a great way to make new friends, get on my radar, because what if you come on a Zoom hangout and then a month later I get a new client who would be a per match for you? You never know, right? So
Jean wants to know if there's any vegan men in Ohio. I know Chef Del Schroff is vegan and he lives in Ohio.
I don't specifically know about Ohio. I would have to check my database, but again, like, I always encourage people to try to not be so specific, because especially, like, in this day and age, a lot of people work from home. A lot of people are flexible as to where they can live. So expand your horizon, right? Be open to all possibilities.
Laurel says, what about whole food plant-based vegans and ones that are, more on the healthy bent?
Yeah, definitely. I work with people like that as well. So again, it's about knowing, what is that, who your ideal partner is, but again, being open-minded, and it's the same thing with vegetarian versus vegan, right? I've had vegans tell me that they will not date someone who's vegetarian. Well, vegetarian is pretty darn close to vegan. So, it's not a far stretch. So again, just be open to possibilities.
That's great. So what's the best advice you'd give somebody that is really looking for love?
So number one, love yourself. Okay. I can't stress that enough. If you don't love yourself, how can you expect somebody else to love you, right? You have to be able to be truly happy with your, no matter where you're at. Okay. And that takes work, right? It can take a long time. Make sure that you do the deep inner work that is needed before entering into any kind of relationship. So when you feel confident, inspired, and ready to be in a relationship, put yourself out there. Be positive. Positive affirmations will really take you a long way. So instead of, talking the negative talk, I'm not going to find anyone, vegan, single, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy enough. Please try to stop that, because it is extremely damaging. Replace those thoughts with positive thoughts. So every single day, tell yourself that how amazing you are. Remind yourself how amazing you are, and be confident. Really be positive. And I use the law of attraction, again, to really, get to where I want to be. So be as positive as you can. Try a different approach. Don't keep repeating the same patterns over and over again. Try something new. Put yourself out there. Be brave, be bold, and be yourself.
Okay, but so Allison is pointing out, what if you're shy? She's saying the Zoom Hangouts can be difficult for people that are shy. And I imagine to be on your Zoom Hangouts, you first have to be a client, right?
No, the Zoom Hangouts are open to everyone. So tickets are $39. Yeah, it's open to anybody. Anybody can sign up. So my clients attend these Hangouts, or part of these Hangouts, but these Hangouts are open to everyone. And everyone, and Chef Ajay, I gave you a code. I can't remember what the code was, but it's a 10% off code. So you could leave that in the comments. So anybody who wants to try a Hangout, I will go in and post the link as well to all of the upcoming Hangouts with the code. But I work with a lot of clients who are shy and introverted. This is a great opportunity to get out of your shell, to practice talking and being in a room, virtual room with other vegan singles. And so everyone is in the same spot, right? Everyone, it's like probably your first time that you're doing this. It feels uncomfortable, but just put yourself out there. And I structure these hangouts in such a way where it's really low pressure. It's really fun. The conversation is facilitated really well. I basically go on, I talk for about 10 minutes, and then by one, everyone introduces themselves. We talk. And then once everyone's done introducing themselves, I do some fun icebreakers. People talk via the chat. So it's super fun. It's really laid back. And again, if you're shy, this is a great way to practice getting out of your comfort zone. Okay. Highly encourage you try it, and just tell yourself, what's the worst that can happen?
Well, nothing. You'll still be single. That's the worst that can happen, right? I think it's a lot easier. I think it would be, again, I'm not in a position to date, but I think it would be a lot easier on Zoom personally than having to meet somebody. So I hope people will check out your free Facebook group. I've been posting the link during this broadcast, and also the introductory call. But the Hangouts just sound like a lot of fun, just to meet more vegans. So I hope people will check it out.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Again, if any of you want to explore the possibility to see if it's a good fit, book a call. I love talking to vegan singles, love helping out people. So I hope to hear from you, and hope to see you in my Facebook group.
Great. Thank you so much, Karen. And thanks all of you for watching another episode of Chef AJ Live. Please come back tomorrow when we have a wonderful medical doctor who is plant-based, and his name is Dr. Rajiv Mosqueda. Take care, everyone. And thanks again, Karen.
Thanks. Bye.